have any idea who you are fucking with?
I think it's a recording.
You probably just asked if I know who I'm dealing with. And oh yes, I know. The weakest and most non-threatening of the sins.
Hello everyone, it's your boy RM. I am back after my 2-month-long disappearance. But let me talk about that. The clip I just showed you is one of the main key parts that's made me interested in this particular episode of Helluva Boss that recently came out. Now, in this new episode, Crimson brings up a very interesting point. The following being that he refers to Asmodeus as being one of the weakest of the seven deadly sins. I find that one to be outrageously interesting because claiming something like that, he must have either a lot of evidence or two, he must be bluffing. So I have a theory, right? Granted, the theory is going to hinge off of two assumptions. The first assumption is going to have to be if Crimson's word is correct. It could be correct that Crimson could just be pulling all of this shit out of his ass. He could just be lying just to make Asmodeus bend down to his knees and forcibly give Crimson his companies, like we've seen later on in the episode when Stolas was reading the contract. I want to talk about how power works, right? Which is the other assumption, is how power is probably going to be distributed in the Hell hierarchy. At the time being, the best I can do is probably theorize a system that what makes someone more powerful. What makes someone like Stolas more powerful than Blitz? Now, inherently, I think there are three aspects to it. I think the first one has to do with magic. Magic is a very inherent ability that we can see fairly higher powers using it. Like, sure, we can see someone as low as Alistair using it as the Overlord realm, and you could also say use Succubi using it, but they have to use a magic item. Or Alistair's case, sure, he has magic, but it's nowhere as strong as someone as Stolas' magic. Which also brings me to another question of how is magic actually made? Or how is it actually done? Like, do you magically born with these abilities? Or do you have to practice and then hone these skills in? I'm wondering if it's like Stolas was given a, book and then he learned everything in the book to help summon spells and stuff like that. I'm assuming the following is you can inherently, some people are more capable of wielding magic than others. Granted, I think you need to learn the skills and to hone the skills in two at the same time. I think that's how it would go along the ways. Because I'm going off the assumption because Stolas looks like he learned his powers, or at least a majority of them, at least when it comes to the grimoire that we've seen in Season 2, Episode 1, when Paimon gives him the book to study when he's old enough. Now, another thing I'm going to also have to assume too is the second thing that makes someone powerful is wealth, because at the end of the day, having a lot of money makes you very powerful. Stolas having a lot of money allows him to do multiple things. It allows him to, hire security guards to protect him, like Blitz, as we can see in, Season 1, Episode 2, Lululand. He can protect him. We can see him use money. You could probably bribe someone with it. You can buy bodyguards, like I said earlier. You can buy businesses. You can do a bunch of things with money. Money is a very useful asset, and in return, you can do some very powerful moves with it. And the third thing that I want to talk about when it comes to power is influence. How does the seven deadly sins, in this case, I'm wondering is, you need power and influence, right? You need the ability to influence a large crowd of people. It gives you a lot more power. Another important thing, because if you need a lot of influence, which in turn you can use it to generate yourself more money, which in turn can increase your power. I think it's like, at least with the last two I talked about, you can use it to influence your power and just continue building up and up more power. Now the question is what's the ratio between these? What is the big difference between Stolas and Asmodeus? I'm assuming Asmodeus either one has to know more magical abilities than Stolas, two, has to be way more wealthy than Stolas, or three, bunch more influence, which helps him generate wealth, or I say D, which I'm assuming is probably the answer. He has a combination of all three factors combined. I'm assuming he knows a little more magic than Stolas, make his power levels higher. He has more influence by more people like him, because he has a higher presence, and he has more cash because of it, because people buy his sex toys. In return, we see him. He literally has a factory of it. And I think that is the key part. I think the ratios is actually more important than you'd think. I think the reality is that Asmodeus, if he does have his secret figured out, I'm assuming he is going to lose a lot of influence and power. Now, I bring this up because in return, he's going to lose a lot of people who follow him because unlike Beelzebub, it's not within his delegation to be, or at least, as known to be like, oh, hey, he's going to be dating someone or, in a relationship with someone who's in a lower class. Beelzebub, she's known for doing what she wants. Hence, it's known that, okay, yeah, she's dating Vortex, a Hellhound, lowest of the low. It doesn't matter. She does what she wants. It's a part of her and her persona that she has, everyone see her as. But Asmodeus is more uptight. He even called out Stolas for it. So to see people have Stolas get called out by Asmodeus, but in return Asmodeus is doing the exact same thing. Granted, the imp might be slightly more popular, or is more popular than the other one. Granted, it still makes him a hypocrite, and in return, people might not respect them, and that could also affect his revenues, his sales of his factories, and in turn, he could lose a lot of powerful assets by decrease in fundings, and in return, his influence over people will also decrease. So 2 of the 3 factors that make someone powerful decreases. Now, I think of the trifecta, is what I'm going to call it. This trifecta, I think when you decrease 2 of them, you're going to lose a lot of power sufficiently. If you lose funding, which, sure, he'll still have a lot of money because he probably has a bunch saved up, too. He doesn't look like a stupid guy. He knows what to do from an intelligence level. It's just that he's going to lose revenue. He's going to lose followers, which in turn is going to decrease his power, which will, in turn, definitely make him the weakest of the 7 deadly sins. I think I'm going to have to agree with Crimson, and assuming that how I'm assuming the power level works, at least when it comes to gauging what makes someone more powerful, Asmodeus is definitely the weakest of the 7 deadly sins, and how much weaker will he get with the loss of said assets? Because I think before his secret may be let out, he might be on par with everyone else. But if he doesn't, he's definitely going to be the weakest. Will he be as weak as Ars Goetia, though? 1 tier below? Possibly. Granted, I don't have enough information to know about that. Granted, I want to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and if you want, just tell me if I'm right, whether I'm wrong. I would love to hear what you guys say. Well, guys, as always, stay awesome, be awesome, and bye-bye.